My name is Rany. I am with the East Bay Asian Youth Center, also known as EBASI. One of the big services that we provide to the Oakland community are after-school programs. We provide after-school programs to seven elementary school, 1 middle school, and 1 high school. My role is the managing director at the high school level at Oakland High. And the peer tutoring services we provide are twofold. We have the cross age as well as same age. So by cross age, have you, the presenters prior to us up here mentioned one or two grade level difference, or the 9th through kindergarten difference. So what we provide is the high school age students are working as teaching interns at elementary school after school program. For the same age, it's at Oakland High, where we are getting seniors who are we're getting seniors who are peer tutors in our drop-in tutoring space. So the peer tutoring piece at the high school level has, this is our second year in that program. In terms of the cross-age one, where high school students are working with elementary school students, this is close to our 15th year. And when so I'm gonna focus on the elementary school because I have a sense that most of you here are from the elementary school level. Is that correct? No? So there's some high school. So I'll share a little bit of both. So I myself, I was born and raised in Oakland, grew up in Oakland, and was a part of EBASI as a participant. I was a participant in the after-school program at Roosevelt Middle School. And when I was a student at Oakland High School, they hired me on as a teaching intern to work at Garfield Elementary School. So I was a teaching intern myself. Back then, when I was a teaching intern, I was in charge of working with close to 5 to 10 students. And my responsibility as a high school student was to create lesson plans. But how I was supported when it came to the creation of these daily lesson plans was through open court, through the curriculum open court, Sword of Success, and one new curriculum that EBASI had taken on with literacy is called Kids Lit. So back then, I was solely responsible for this. I was given 30 minutes prior to program to create these lesson plans, but knowing that knowing that 30 minutes wasn't enough, myself along with other high school students, we do take the work home and we do prep and do crossword puzzles and figure out icebreakers to do with students, figure out how to make our activities a little bit more creative. And so and the support that we get is we're not only from directors, but also from teachers at Garfield Elementary or at the elementary schools. In terms of the high school piece, it's a little different because it's same age. So the peer tutors who are in the drop-in tutoring, they work with students with varying needs. So you could have a 9th grader who might need help with their English, or you might have a senior who needs help with calculus BC. And how we go about in selecting our peer tutors is very interesting, and it's interesting because it's not a free-for-all. We're very strategic in terms of the intent of how we select our students, and we come at it from a different focus. A lot of what we heard today was around, just being able to build relationships regardless of needs and regardless of resources. But being an after-school program and being after-school program, being partners with the school, we have a little bit more flexibility of how to build our peer tutoring programs. So for the teaching interns as well as for the peer tutors at the high school level, they're both paid positions, and that makes a huge difference. And they both have to apply. For the teaching interns, they apply and they interview. For the peer tutors, they apply and interview, but we also ask for teacher recommendation forms. As they interview with us, we have them take a writing and an English and math assessment, so we identify whether or not the tutors that we're hiring or the teaching interns that we're hiring are proficient or above average, when it comes to the English and math components. Trying to pick things out of my head that I think will be useful to you all. But I feel like the main thing is you have to know what exactly it is that you need. Having a needs assessment, understanding your students, understanding the community that you're working in, and figuring out whether or not peer tutoring is something that that will work for you in terms of your capacity and your resources. If you feel as a teacher you may not have the system in place to be able to have a full-blown peer tutoring component, being able to find creative ways of making it work. So if you're not having a whole 9th grade class working with the kindergarten class, maybe just really downscaling it and identifying 1 or 2 9th grader who could pilot it out for you to see if it's helpful at your site. And how we approach the work that we do with our peer tutors, it's through work-based learning and career exposure. So all of the interns that we work with, we do a pre and post survey with them because we want to identify whether or not this experience is having impact in their growth. In addition, we also do feedback, assessment, evaluation, being able to give them, so not only reflection in terms of how well do you think you worked with, the younger peers, but how well do you think you did? And then giving them feedback on their professionalism too, because this is a career development program. But in addition to the career development piece, we also support them academically. So if any of our peer tutors or teaching interns are falling behind academically themselves because now they have this additional responsibility after school, our internship coordinator, who is sitting right there, Sarah, she would meet with them one-on-one, and there's some case management. So in short, like I wanna really let you know that in terms of how you run your program, how basic do you want it to be and how comprehensive do you want to be, and making sure that you fold in the 2 aspects, the development of not just the peer tutor, of the tutors, but also of the tutees, and in addition to that, being able just to know what support do you have on your hand? Is it another teacher? Is the administrator on board? Or is there a partner that's an existing partners that are on your site that could help you make it happen? Yeah, I hope I covered things that are helpful to you all.
That's a great start, Rany. Thank you.
So at elementary schools, as teaching interns, we would have weekly meetings with everybody. So I mentioned before that it was just high school students that are running a group of 5 to 10. Now we've co-partnered with, or now the high school interns are partnered up with academic mentors who are college students or college graduates. During these weekly staff meetings or these weekly professional development sessions, not only are they talking about what are the learning objectives that we want for each of the for each groups of students, because each group of students they're identified based off of their reading abilities. So there's like level 1 through level 5. So there's certain learning targets that we want each group to meet. And in these meetings, not only will they go over the different learning objectives, but they also just talk about activities that they could do to make the lessons a bit more creative. So it's a lot of learning from each other, a lot of figuring out what's the best, like how do I get a student to spell or read big and difficult words, and they would come up with like different fun activities, like having a spelling bee or having them test each other or things like that. But the bulk of our conversations have been around the relationship building, because it has a lot to do. The main challenge that comes around are boundaries. Because if you have young people working with young people, sometimes they don't know their boundaries. Sometimes the mentor or the tutor will come in with emotional baggage and they don't know how to check it at the door. Or maybe something might happen in that interaction where it triggers something in the tutor, and that tutor might just flash back and don't know how quite to self-control. So a lot of that we try to address for now, because if we don't do that, that's going to hinder the learning of that that space. What's the point of having peer-to-peer interaction if we're not training or not guiding our peer tutors to realize who they are and their biases and how that may impact the relationship building piece. In addition to that, we would have school day teachers come into our PDs and teach us stuff on classroom management or on lesson planning and giving us a tools to be able to do our work a bit more effectively.